But then there's also this other part of the population that says Brazil is very dangerous. What's your thought on that? Yes, I'm Roman and welcome again to my channel. And we have Victor here with us again. Say hello, Victor.
Hello.
For today's video, we will talk about what it's really like living or growing up in Brazil. Let's go. So my first question for you is, where exactly in Brazil did you grow up?
I'm from Jaboatão, and this is a city located in the state of Pernambuco, northeast, region of northeast. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I've never heard of it. I don't even know where it is. I only know major cities like Rio de Janeiro or São Paulo.
Actually, when people think about Brazil, they think about Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo, but Brazil is more than that, you know. There are different states and really nice place to visit.
Well, that I know because I've talked to a few Brazilians and I've learned that, but I don't know much, unfortunately. What was it like growing up in Jaboatão?
I mean, it's a nice place. It's a nice place to live, but there are some differences regarding social equality, you know. But I think that happens in every other city. But it's a good place to live. It depends on the neighborhood, but it's a nice place.
And to have a little bit more of a practical or visual image, what was growing up physically like? I'll give an example of what I mean. So in Jamaica, growing up as a child, there are a few things that everyone would do. We'd be outside playing all the time, whether it be dandy shandy, Chinese skip, or maybe even football. And maybe on a Friday, listening to music with the family of the neighborhood and drinking soup, playing dominoes. So this is a visual image of what growing up in Jamaica was like. So in the same light, what could you tell us visually about growing up?
Actually, what you just described is very similar to what we have here. So when I think of my neighborhood, I mean the old neighborhood I used to live, I can think about the same thing. For example, we used to play domino, also to play other things. I used to run with my friends. I'm going to say some things in Portuguese so your Brazilian viewers, they can remember about about playing with their friends as well. We used to jogar bola de gude, vôlei, pular corda, brincar de pega-pegou. Actually, I don't know how you call it in your state, so let me know in the comments because there are different names for that. So I remember playing with my friends a lot. It was like, okay, I go to school, when I get back home, so I'm going to the streets because I want to play with my friends. So I'd be in the streets for like hours and they get back home like at night, just to sleep only because it was play all the time. Just very good.
Now, what I'm interested in knowing right now is how did growing up in Jaboatão, or perhaps maybe just Brazil in general, shape who you are? How did it shape your identity?
I wouldn't say like Jaboatão, but of course it has an important play in my life, of course, because I did not live in a rich neighborhood. So of course it has some influence in who I am now. I mean, when you think about a perspective of what you want to do for your life, what type of life you want to have, so of course it has some influence. But I would say that the culture, I mean, speaking of Brazil in general, the culture, it makes us being like warm people. We really care about each other. Of course, there are some not all of us are alike, you know, but I think that we are very caring about other people, and we have like a perspective about what we want to do. If I could describe a Brazilian, I would say that it's a go-getter.
This sort of leads naturally into my next question. Also, people, as I've previously mentioned, see Brazil as a paradise where everyone goes to the beach, they're drinking from a coconut, and they're just having a really good time. But then there's also this other part of the population that says Brazil is very dangerous. What's your thought on that? Or your thoughts?
So as I told before, people think that Brazil is only carnival and party and samba and football all the time, but it's not only that. It is that, but not only that. There are some issues as well as any other countries, and some places they are good to live, some places are not. It depends on the neighborhood, the state, the location. Some people say that Brazil is dangerous, so it depends on the place. I would not say that this is the most dangerous country in the world, because I don't think so. And if I could talk about something, if I could highlight something to tell you that it could be improved, I would say, of course, the prices. The prices of things are high, so if you want to live comfortably, you need to have a good job so you can provide for yourself, for your family, you know.
And I just thought of something which I think is quite interesting. Would you say that you need to behave in a particular way in order to survive in Brazil? I will just be blunt. For men, they need to be very macho. Is Brazil a conservative, a closed society? Do you have to walk a certain way, laugh a certain way?
I think that Brazil has its issues when it comes to this matter, but people nowadays are more open, open-minded. So I would not say that we need to have a certain behavior when you are in front of other people. I mean, it's like you can be yourself. But of course, we need to understand in which place we are in. I mean, I'm here to talk to my friends, or I'm here to talk to have a formal conversation with a person who I don't know. You understand? So it's important just to know how to adapt. But by adapting, I'm not saying that you need to change who you are. But I would not say that this is so strict. I think that people are more open-minded nowadays. This is my perspective. It's important to say that because I know that other Brazilians may have a different perspective, but this is mine.
I see. How has Brazil changed from your childhood up to this present time in your life right now?
I can only think about the economy. As I told you, the prices, they got higher. And of course, some things improved, some things have not improved. But I just feel like we've been like rushing all the time. It's like the time goes by so fast all the time. That's the perception I have nowadays about the changings.
Well, that is simply wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing, shall I say, an authentic perspective of Brazil. And of course, we know that everyone will have a different perspective, as we tend to see the world through our own personal experiences or through our own internalized realities, if I may say. And with that said, thank you so much for sharing. And as usual, do you have a final word you'd like to say to the audience?
Thank you for having me. And I just want to say subscribe to this channel. And if you have any topics that you want that we talk about, just let us know and we will talk about that.
Awesome. So you said it all, so I'll just say goodbye and see you next time. Ciao.
There is a Brazilian audience. I want to see you guys.
Okay.